franchises here, bud.
All right, we're rocking around the clock. Wooly bully, everybody. Get ready for that old time rock and roll. That song's not in these movies. I'm thankful for that. I hate that song. We're doing American Graffiti. That's what we're talking about today. American Graffiti. And you wouldn't believe it, but there's more American Graffiti after that. So we'll talk about that as well. I'm your host with the most, Wolfman Daniel Ehrenberg, and over there is Logan Adair, my co-host.
All right. I'm so excited to be talking about Dazed and Confused this week.
And its sequel, More Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, I honestly had the thought, why didn't they do that?
Yeah, in which Rory Cochrane dies in Nam.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Yeah, it'll be all right. Let's talk about it. We're talking American Graffiti.
By the way, why don't you like that song? That kind of music just soothes the soul.
Well, the thing is, I like old time rock and roll, but I don't like songs about old time rock and roll.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. That does not soothe my soul. It just hits me in the nostalgia balls.
Yeah.
Logan, George Lucas is here today. Would you like to interview him?
Yes. Hello, George. Are you there?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Why aren't you making any more movies? I miss you.
Shoot your blaster.
I'll probably miss you if
Yeah.
Right.
I have so much money.
Yeah, but once upon a time, this was probably a passion of yours, right? To make films. What happened?
Well, I made the ones I wanted to make, right? I only ever really wanted to make like 3 movies. This, THX, and Star Wars.
Yeah, but I miss you, George. That doesn't matter to you?
I mean, you could catch me in all of the documentary footage on the Star Wars DVDs. I recorded commentary tracks.
Yeah, but I don't care. I want new films, George.
But I'm just living out my retirement with my beautiful wife, Marcia.
All right. All right. So we're not here. Let's try not to talk about Star Wars too much today, George. What we're here to talk about is American Graffiti. And my first question, I guess this is my second question, aside from why aren't you making any more movies? I always thought that Dennis Quaid was in this movie. Why did I think that my whole life?
Maybe because you're a dumb piece of shit.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, next question.
Is it about Star Wars?
No, is that what you want to talk about today?
Let's talk about Alderaan.
No, George. We're talking about Chevrolets, all right? What was your first car you ever had?
Well, I drove a Thunderbird.
What's the goal with this interview?
That's up to you. I'm the one being interviewed.
Wait 1 second. I have somebody in my ear right now. All right, I have Henry on the line.
Oh,
Henry's here to interview George. Actually,
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh damn it! Honestly, if we'd planned this, I could have pulled out a lighter. We should have planned this. That would have been kind of a good bit. All right. Can I talk to Daniel?
I'm still here, Logan.
Oh, you're still here.
I was just letting you interview George.
Oh, well, you don't have any questions for George? I've sort of run out of everything.
I've watched all those commentary tracks and documentary Star Wars DVDs, so I have no further questions.
Oh, you sort of got everything you needed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you, George. I know you were excited to come on, and we sent you $50 on PayPal, but that's really all we needed from you.
You don't have any questions about pod racing?
Did the pod racing? Did you think about when you were making this movie? Were you just thinking about what you really wanted to make, which was pod racing?
If you watch Attack of the Clones, one of the flying cars in that movie is based on the car that's being driven by Milner. How about that?
The yellow car.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's true.
That's very cool, George. I didn't know that. I would have to go back and check that out. That's a
Please,
cool tidbit.
everybody go back and rewatch Attack of the Clones. It's
People say that's the
underrated.
worst one, George.
Underrated. It's better than the ones I didn't make.
What's your least favorite? Probably Empire, because that's the first one you handed over to somebody else.
No, the worst ones are Solo, Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi, The Rise of the Skywalker.
Now don't poo-poo all over Solo. You know that was directed by Ron Howard, right?
My old friend.
He's not that old. He says when we talked to him yesterday, he said his old friend George. How does that make you feel?
But it just means we've been friends since 1973.
No, when he said old, he said, but is he still alive? That's what he said. That's what Ron said. He didn't even know if you were alive, George.
He's being a little stinker. He knows. We
okay.
talk once a week.
What do you guys talk about?
Usually, what he's working on. You know?
You know, his daughter is making Star Wars stuff these days. Did you know about that?
Bryce.
Bryce. You just call her Bryce?
Yeah, I changed her diapers.
Oh, no. Yeah, she's making The Mandalorian or something like that.
I hate that show.
Oh, you hate what's why? Why do you hate that show?
Not
you ever talk to
enough-
Werner Herzog? You friends with him?
No.
No.
Not enough pod racing.
Oh, okay. You watched Fitzgeraldo and you see what you said. Where's the pod racing?
Yeah, not a single saber of light in that film.
All right, George. All right. I think we've had enough. We're fully into Star Wars. This is not where I wanted to go. Not where I wanted to go with this episode, but there we are. All right. Daniel, where are you at?
I'm still here. I'm listening to every word, hanging on every word. I didn't know the thing about him talking to Ron Howard every week.
Yeah, that was a little weird. What, he changed Bryce Dallas Howard's diapers?
I mean, he was probably around when she was born, right?
Are you friends with the ice cream man? You ever talk to him?
Who's you talking about Clint Howard?
I'm talking to George, not Daniel.
He's gone. He's off the line.
Oh, he hung up. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I wanted to know if he ever talked to Clint Howard.
Oh, man. Next time we'll ask him.
All right. Well, we're done. He never made any more movies. This was our chance.
Well, yeah, I guess Radioland Murders never got a sequel, huh? Howard the Duck. Maybe if Marvel reboots Howard the Duck, we could talk to George again.
Yeah, we can hope.
Yeah.
Well, what did he do there? Just produce it, though?
Yeah, but he was big.
All right.
He was on the set. Shit. All right.
That would have
Let's
been really
talk-
good if I had a lighter. Wouldn't that have been good?
Yeah.
If I said Henry and then I flicked
You
the
could have just
lighter.
gone. Right?
What'd you do?
I'm doing a little click sound. You can't
Oh,
hear
yeah.
that?
No, I didn't even hear you.
Oh,
I probably
shit.
could have just been silent and then added in post and a lighter sound effect.
You still can.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. But maybe I'll do that.
All right. Logan, let's talk about American Graffiti, huh?
Yeah, very excited.
All right. So the genesis of this film, George Lucas, he was making his first film, THX 1138. All right. And did you catch that one of the license plates in this movie was THX 138?
Nope, but I love it.
Yep. How about that? So during the filming of that movie, because it was so weird and off kilter and alienating, his friend Francis Ford Coppola, who, you know, he was working on The Godfather at the time, he was like, I challenge you, George, to write a movie that audiences would actually want to see. And George was like, I'll
do my best.
I do a great George impression, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite one you do.
I'm just saying, like, that sounded just like George Lucas, who we just talked to.
Oh, right. You're comparing that to what we just heard, which was
Right.
George Lucas. Right. It did sound very
Identical.
eerily similar. Right.
Yeah. All right. So Lucas takes him up on this. He writes a script that's called Another Quiet Night in Modesto. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes the script. He's like, I like what I did here. That'll be my next movie. All right. So after THX, studios started offering him other movies, and he was turning it down because he wanted to get Another Quiet Night in Modesto made. He supposedly got offered Tommy, the Who movie, and Hair. Could have worked with Treat.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. But he's turned those down to pursue this. He went to Cannes with THX 1138 and started trying to sell the movie there. United Artists became interested. They're like, George, we'll give you $10,000 to develop the script. All right. Because he only had like a 15-page treatment at this point. And so he goes, he gets his old friends, Gloria Katz and Willard Huck.
Yeah.
And they write the movie. All right. He got another guy to write a draft too, but I don't think he used any of it. So then UA, they get the screenplay, they read it, they're like, this would require $100,000 of music licensing. We're not making this fucking movie. And so he had trouble getting it made for a little while, but Universal, they liked George. So they said, we'll make the movie, but we want first look rights to Star Wars. Because he had already started pitching that. They were like, all right, make it. We'll give you $90,000 for the music. We'll give you a $600,000 budget. But then Francis Ford Coppola hopped on and he got the budget raised to $770,000 because then they could promote it as from the man who brought you The Godfather.
Right. We're talking about you've sort of jumped around from this is about American Graffiti now, not THX 1138.
Yeah, I'm saying like all this happened after THX.
All right, I sort of got confused for a second.
You gotta listen better.
So Francis Ford Coppola had nothing to do with THX.
No, he was just pals with George at that time.
Well, you brought up that he challenged him to make an idea, and then you sort of went back to THX. And
no, I'm saying like he came up with the idea on the set at THX, and then he started pitching it when he brought THX to Cannes.
Right. Okay.
All right. So Universal makes this thing for $770,000, and it's a hit. Logan. It comes out August 11th, 1973, and it goes on to make $140 million at the box office.
A lot of money.
What a hit maker George is. It was even nominated for 5 Academy Awards.
Oscars, it's the red carpet, it's the red carpet and the gowns and the tuxes. The Oscars, it's the big night for Hollywood, the red carpet and the golden man.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Editing. It lost all 4 of those awards to The Sting, which kind of swept that year. Even though it's just good. I like the Sting. We could cover the Sting, by the way. There's the Sting 2.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Is that about the crocodile hunter?
What? Oh, because of the stingray?
Yeah.
Oh my god. My first thought went to obviously Sting from WCW.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay.
He has tantric sex, right? That's the thing about him.
That's Sting from the Police.
Oh, right. That's 2 different Stings. I'm sorry.
You thought Sting the wrestler had tantric sex?
I got him confused.
That's hilarious.
He might. Who knows?
He doesn't seem like the type.
Who seems like the type? How do you know who's the
I'll
type?
tell you what. If I had to guess one person who performs tantric sex, I would guess fucking Sting from the Police.
People might say that about you. Do you seem like the type?
I don't think people would. I'm too aggressive.
Yeah, people would. You have no self-control. You wouldn't be able to do that.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. It was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Candy Clark got nominated.
Who's that?
She played, Toad's lady.
Yeah, the one that's in the next movie.
Yeah. But, she lost to Tatum O'Neal, who was 10 years old for Paper Moon.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, there were two kid nominees that year because that was also the year of Linda Blair for The Exorcist.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Everyone go watch Paper Moon. You haven't seen Paper Moon? Fucking awesome
Oh
movie.
hell yeah!
Or What's Up, Doc?
Nice.
Why I like even more probably.
Do you know that the editor of American Graffiti edited that and What's Up Doc at the same time?
That is awesome.
How about that fun fact?
Yeah, that's very cool.
All right, the BAFTAs, they only nominated for one thing, supporting actress, but weirdly they didn't go with Candy Clark. They went with Cindy Williams, who plays Laurie.
I thought she was very good.
She is good, yeah, sure. But she lost to Ingrid Bergman for Murder on the Orient Express. American Graffiti had its best awards luck over there at the Golden Globes because they have separate comedy categories.
It's the GGs, the Golden Globes, it's the Hollywood Foreign Press, mostly French.
So American Graffiti actually won Best Comedy. All right.
Yep.
Richard Dreyfuss was nominated for Best Actor in a Comedy, but he lost to George Segal for a film called A Touch of Class. And George Lucas was actually nominated for Director, but he lost to William Friedkin for The Exorcist. Back then, the Golden Globes had categories for Best New Star, Female and Male. All right. Female that year was, of course, Tatum O'Neal, but the Best New Male Star of the Year award went to Paul Lamette, who plays what's his name?
John Milner.
Milner, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but he didn't go on to that much. He's in a couple of Jonathan Demme movies early on.
Okay,
But I don't know about after that. This movie came in at number 3 at the box office, only behind The Exorcist and The Sting. And it's on a couple of AFI lists, Logan. Let's hear that AFI theme.
AFI.
Yeah.
How lazy was that one?
Yeah, well, that's what the theme is.
Yeah, that's what it calls
Demands
for.
to be lazy. All right, so this was on their list of the 100 best movies ever made at number 77.
That you said best movies ever made?
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they redid the list 10 years later. It had moved up. It was then the number 62 best movie ever made.
That's really high.
Yeah. It also showed up at number 43 on their funniest movies of all time list. Who's funnier than George Lucas?
I thought it was pretty funny.
It is funny. All right. That's all I got in the lead up. Let's talk about it. It starts with Rock Around the Clock, a song I used to like to sing as a child.
Okay, I'm sure that was great for your parents. I'm sure they loved that.
I didn't know any of the lyrics, so it was just like 1, 2, 3, having fun. 4, 5, 6, still having fun.
You're like 4 years old doing that?
Probably more like 6 or 7.
That's hilarious.
Notable in the credits, Ron Howard credited as Ronnie Howard.
Wow, I didn't even notice that. Anybody introducing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. And it starts in Mel's Drive-In. I think it would probably be best to just go through the characters here. It's not a super plotty movie, so let's just talk about all the characters.
I agree.
Who do you want to talk about first?
Probably Dreyfuss, right?
All right. So Richard Dreyfuss, he's Kurt in this film. And he's going away to college next year, but he's having some second thoughts about it. And he's sort of off on his own for a lot of the movie, isn't he? Because like at first he's hanging around with Ron Howard and his sister, who Ron Howard's dating, Lori.
No, it's Ron Howard's girlfriend. I think you said it backwards. I think you said Ron Howard's sister.
No, it's Richard Dreyfuss' sister.
I know. Maybe I'm dumb. Keep going. They understand.
Yeah, they do. No one thought I was talking about incest in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know why I corrected you. If it was even a correction, you probably got it right.
All right. So he's in the car with them at first. He sees a beautiful blonde. And I read a lot of that got cut out of the movie. You know, the original cut of this movie was 3.5 hours.
What?
Yeah. They had
crazy.
a lot to leave on the floor, and then they had to figure out what to cut. he's following her around all night, kinda. But he also like first he goes off with his ex-girlfriend. He's like making out in the car with her, and it's her friend Bobby's car. By the way, her friend Bobby, played by the same lady who plays Charlie's mom on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia now.
Wow. I'm not a big It's Always Sunny fan. I feel like I would love it a lot if I started it. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
afraid to start it. But
Well, you should. It's a great show.
yeah, I probably should. They don't still make it, do they?
Yeah, they do.
They still make that show.
I think it's mid-season right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw that that Francis Ford Coppola used that girl, the girlfriend slash sister in this movie. He used her for the conversation. Do you see that?
The girlfriend slash sister,
Lori
Cindy Williams, you mean?
Yes, she's in the conversation. I thought that was pretty cool. He liked her so much in this movie that he used her for that movie.
Yeah, and then she got on Laverne and Shirley, and that was basically her whole career. She just Laverne and Shirley'd the rest of her life.
Yeah, I honestly I was pretty charmed by her in this movie. In both
Everyone
the
in this fucking movie is charming.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think actually the female cast gets short shrift because they don't even get like an update at the end.
Yeah,
which is kind of fucked up. Pauline Kael called Lucas a chauvinist for that, and I kind of agree with her. But I think Candy Clark, Cindy Williams, and Mackenzie Phillips are three of the maybe the three best performances in the whole movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about the little girl later.
Yeah. All right, so Dreyfus, and then he gets caught up with the Pharaohs, right? They're a gang, a local gang of toughs. One of them shows up in the fucking sequel, which surprised me.
Yeah, that was a bit random.
Yeah. What was up with like Egypt mythology? I feel like there was a lot of Egypt shit going on in the 60s. The pharaohs, the mummies, things like that. We're interested in that still.
I probably would have liked it. I'm a big Van Helsing fan. If you guys done that, that would have been a great time for me.
Yeah, it's not bad, man.
I would have been Van Helsing. I would have tried anyway.
It's pretty good. You know, I did write a Batman story when I was like 7 years old, and I created a new villain, and I called him Osiris.
What's that?
It's like the sun god of Egypt myth.
Wow, look at you, 7 years old.
I think I just ripped it off though, like in hindsight, because I think there's an Egyptian guy, like an Egyptian villain on that Adam West Batman show.
All right, I don't know.
Am I just realizing now that I'm a bogus little fucking plagiarist?
I've never seen that show. I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah,
let us know, guys.
That might have been Tut.
Is there a mummy in the Batman show?
I think it was like a King Tut.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
So you're a fraud.
I'm a fraud. All right. All right, so that's Dreyfus. He ends up going to school, and Howard's the one who gets left behind. Richard Dreyfuss. It's fun to see him so young in this movie. Do you think
he's really good in this movie? I was really impressed.
He's such a good actor. I was wondering if you think Spielberg saw him in this, and that was like the first thing he saw him in, because Spielberg was also buds with George.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I do think so.
So like, Spielberg has a lot to thank George for. He discovered Dreyfus. He discovered Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he gave him Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Which they're still making. Oh, by the way, we're gonna do it. That's gonna like our next episode, Indiana Jones. There's a new one coming out like next week, and this was very cool. Harrison Ford.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about the Dial of Destiny.
I'm very excited.
Are you?
Yeah. I've been seeing like Harrison Ford doing like press stuff, and it's just cool that Harrison Ford's still alive and
he's great. I watched that show Shrinking that he was in with Jason Segel on Apple Plus. I thought he was great in that.
Yeah, we almost lost him a few years ago. People don't remember that.
Oh, that's right. He got in like a plane crash, right?
Yeah,
he like crashed his plane on a golf course or something.
Yeah, very scary.
Yeah, I am glad. Like, that'll be a rough one when Harrison Ford dies.
It'll happen soon.
He's like a he's Indiana Jones. He's Han Solo. He's all
He's the Blade Runner guy. You forgot that guy.
Please. To me, he's
Decker,
Richard Kimball
Decker,
more than
something
he's that
Decker?
guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Richard
yeah.
Kimball.
Richard,
That's a good
yeah.
one.
What else? What else you got?
Eric Decker. That's a pretty good. Blade Runner's not a bad one.
It's not Eric Deckard.
No, what did I say?
Rick. I want to say his name.
Oh,
is
Rick. Who's Eric?
Yeah.
Who is that guy?
I don't know. Eric Draven.
Was Eric Decker a football player? Eric Decker, former wide receiver. That's crazy.
All right. So that's Dreyfus. Who do you want to talk about now?
Ron Howard.
All right.
Or we didn't talk about Wolfman Jack. He goes to visit Wolfman Jack. The whole movie, everybody's listening to the Wolfman Jack on the radio, and then at the end he goes to visit him, and he's like, "Get this out to that blonde that I've been seeing all night." That was pretty cool how it all came together at the end.
The Wolfman Jack stuff is pretty genius. Like the stuff that they're listening to on the radio are recordings of like old actual Wolfman Jack radio shows that they repurposed for the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that was a real thing.
Yeah. He was like an actual radio personality in the 60s. And so all of that shit was real, like just like random shit that they like went through the archives and got. But then they also got the real Wolfman Jack to play himself at the end of the movie.
That's cool. I didn't know any of that. I just thought this was a creation they came up with.
No, good stuff. I read that Lucas gave Wolfman Jack some of the profits for inspiring him.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure he never did that ever again.
Probably not.
Yeah.
He kept all that toy money to himself, man.
Yep. I'm sure. Do you think they made toys of this movie? Any cars that they sold?
I bet you they did. I bet you they did later. Like that cars and shit, that became more of a thing recently. Like when I worked at a comic book store a few years ago, there were like these amazing replications of cars from movies. And I bet you they did that at some point, but not at the time.
I had a Hot Wheels car of the Vin Diesel Triple X. He has like a black car in those Triple X movies. And I had that as a Hot Wheel. I thought that was so cool.
That is.
I don't know where it is today, but it was cool when I had it.
Yeah, I just think like in the 70s, people like really Star Wars like launched like people giving a shit about merchandising.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like you go back, I bet there aren't even like Jaws toys from the time.
What are they gonna have? The orca or the shark?
Yeah, orca playset. How about that?
That'd be cool. It comes with little barrels you can play with.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is actually.
All right. Who's next?
Ron Howard.
As the Who once said.
Ron Howard.
All right. So Ron Howard, sans mustache. He's got a mustache in the next one.
Right. You hated it. I wasn't that.
I liked the mustache. I just thought he was really annoying in the movie. Okay. What's his character's name?
Steve.
God, no wonder I don't like his characters.
Come on. I'm sure there are two Steves listening to this podcast. Maybe
I'm
not.
just saying it's my father's name, so I have connotations.
Okay.
All right. So Ron Howard, he's like opens the movie. He's been dating Lori for a long time. From Laverne and Shirley, and he's like trying to unload her, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hate him. He's the worst asshole in any of these movies.
Why?
Listen to me. He starts the movie going like, listen, I'm dumping you. I'm not, or he doesn't even. He tries to like hang out to her. He's like, while I'm away, I think we should fuck other people. Okay. And then when I come home, I'll fuck you some more. But then we'll just fuck other people. And she's like really upset about it. And then later in the movie, he's like trying to take her virginity. And he's like, come on, baby. Let me give you you don't want me to forget you, do you?
Yeah.
Give me something to remember you. But like, what a shitty line that is. And then she talks about the relationship a little bit more. And she's like, you were nervous to ask me out. I had to ask you out. You didn't kiss me for the first 3 dates. I had to like come on strong to you to get you to kiss me. Like, for this guy is a stone cold pussy who like never would have gotten laid, never would have hooked up in high school, except this woman, this beautiful woman, took pity on him. And then he has the nerve to dump her the night before he goes to school.
Yeah, I agree with all the other stuff. I don't think it's a terrible thing to want to break up with somebody to go to college. Like, that's a pretty realistic thing to do, I think, and pretty mature thing.
I think it's a mature thing to break up. I don't think it's a mature thing to try and keep it going. Like, I'm going to be hooking up with other people at school, but when I'm home for Thanksgiving, you're my girlfriend again.
Yeah, that's a little lame. He could probably break up with her and then just come home and have that happen anyway, right? Like, I feel like that's how most relationships happen. Like, they go and then they come back for whatever, they see whoever they're with, and things are back to how they were. He didn't even need to say all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was pretty unnecessary. I agree with that, but
there's so much like and then he's all confident with her in the car and they go to the dance and he's fucking dancing with her and yapping during the I can't stand this guy.
Yeah. Dance silently. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I thought about during this movie?
What?
That I never really thought about before. You know the show Happy Days?
Sure.
That Ron Howard was in? How does George Lucas not get royalties for that show?
It's not the same character.
No, it's not the same character, but it premiered less than a year after American Graffiti was a huge hit. And they got the exact same lead actor to be in it. It takes place like right around the same time, same nostalgia. Like, the main hangout is a diner. They're like, the main characters are Ron Howard, a greaser guy. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like a nerdy kid, Potsy is just Toad.
Yeah. It would be like if the girl who played 11 was in a movie set in the 80s right before Stranger Things came out. Right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, let's just do it again. But then it's really successful. But this was successful. I'm sure he doesn't mind.
But I mean, that show, it should have just been called American Graffiti.
But he's not even the main star. I thought the Fonz was the star.
Ron Howard is the main star the first few seasons, and then he was audiences
so good,
liked the Fonz more, so they start giving the Fonz more screen time.
It's like Family Matters a little bit.
Yeah, but that happens so fast on Family Matters. If you go back and watch like any Happy Days episode from like the first 2 seasons, the lead is Richie Cunningham.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know about all that. Maybe he does get royalties. Who knows?
I doubt it. Fucking Gary Marshall. Get that? That's who created Happy Days. Our old friend Gary. He fucking pooched George Lucas's ideas.
Gary took Ron, and then Penny took Shirley, right?
That's right.
That's wild.
That is wild. The fucking Marshall clan goddamn loved American Graffiti.
Yeah, they definitely watched it at home together.
You know who didn't love American Graffiti? This is mind-blowing. I want to know more about this. No, he liked it.
Oh, wow.
I was on Letterboxd, all right? Every person I follow, like the low end was 3s. Most people gave it 4s, couple 5s. All right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know who I follow on Letterboxd? Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, and he doesn't like this?
All right. Sean from Boy Meets World. He gave this movie half a star.
What's going on?
Half a star. And there's no review.
Because his name is Ryder and he wasn't in the movie. It's about cars. I'm a writer.
Like, what the fuck? Like, that's what I want to know more than anything. I want every listener to tweet at Ryder Strong and ask him why he fucking hates American Graffiti so much.
Yeah, I would like to know that too. I'm looking him up right now to see if he even has a Twitter account.
I'm sure he does because he's hosting that podcast now.
Is it RYDER?
No, it's RI.
Oh, all right.
You're looking that up right now?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tweet him. I send him a follow to make me seem like I'm a fan, maybe. Hey, bro, what's your beef with American Graffiti?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if he gets back to us.
All right.
He hasn't seen the sequel.
I don't think he was like, fuck that first one. I'm not gonna see a sequel.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
By the way, nobody saw More American Graffiti.
That's not true, man.
It is true. Nobody. I was the first person on my letterboxd, at least, that ever logged it.
Not on mine, man.
Well, yeah, because I logged it first.
No, I'm saying More American Graffiti. I follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that have seen it.
Did they see it that same day?
No.
Okay. I guess you just follow more people than me, but nobody that I follow had seen More American Graffiti.
Well, you're not following a couple of our listeners then.
All right. Well, I will.
Okay. All right. So what? That's Ron Howard.
Yeah, he gives his car to Terry. So let's move on to Terry.
Right. So Terry the Toad, or as he calls himself, Terry the Tiger, which I loved. Now, this is the storyline in the movie that has Buffy connections. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, you talk about it. I don't know what you're going to talk about.
Logan, I'm so excited for this because, as you know, listeners, on the patreon.com/thefranchise, we're currently going through every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Watched one this morning.
Yeah. And I was shocked how many Buffy connections there were in these two films. All right. So in Toad's storyline, he's driving around in Ron Howard's car and he meets this lady played by Candy Clark, right? And I love her in this movie, by the way. She might be my MVP. And they have a real fun night. They go get wasted. He vomits for a while. They get their car stolen. He gets into a fight. And then she kisses him at the end. Gives him their number. All right. Now, Logan, Candy Clark, what's her character's name in this movie?
Debbie.
Are you aware that she played Buffy's mom in the movie version of Buffy?
No idea.
Yeah. But then, even more than that, are you aware that the actor who plays Terry directed the pilot episode of Buffy?
What? Welcome to the Hellmouth?
Welcome to the Hellmouth.
No clue.
Yeah, how about that?
That's incredible. I know something about the next movie that we'll get to in the next movie.
Okay.
But that's incredible. Is that all you got?
Yeah. I just thought that was mind blowing.
No, that is amazing. So she had nothing to do with the show. She's just the mom in the movie.
She's the mom from the movie.
I didn't notice that.
He directed the pilot.
That's awesome. Only the pilot?
Yeah.
Wow. That's it. That's amazing. Did he do any other directing?
Yeah. He's done a lot of directing. He sort of transitioned into being a director.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I thought so. Charles Martin Smith. That's that guy's name, right?
Yes.
He directed Dolphin Tale. You know that movie? Only directed Dolphin Tale. He directed Dolphin Tale 2.
Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah. Did you do the first one too? Yeah, he did both of them. All right. And A Dog's Way Home.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. Wow.
Yeah.
So he fully did a franchise that we can do. That's very cool.
Yeah, we'll cover the
Air Bud. He directed Air Bud.
What? Really?
He directed Air Bud, the original Air Bud. What?
That's great. Yeah, I sure did. Same year as the Buffy pilot.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a horror movie directed in the 80s called Trick or Treat.
I only saw Trick or Treat.
Yeah, I know. And he did the Boris and Natasha TV movie, which I watched as a kid. I loved that.
All right. Very cool. So Ron Howard, not the only director.
Not the best director.
Oh, stop it.
All right. Yeah, so Candy Clark, I just thought she was so charming. She has this way of delivering lines that's a little slower than everybody else in the movie, a little quirkier. You never really know what her line deliveries are going to be. And she kind of didn't have it in the next movie. I feel like she lost the... Yeah, I like her in the next movie, but she lost the character a little bit.
No, I do get what you're saying. She's asked to do a lot more, and she's like at this point we didn't really know much about the character, and now it's like you're the fourth lead of the movie or whatever. It's a little weird. But I thought she was pretty good throughout the second movie. Also, I really like her.
Yeah, I like her as more of an enigma. Like when she first shows up, you think
I don't
she's gonna be
disagree.
boring because she's talking about cars, a lot about upholstery and shit, and you're like, fuck that. But yeah, she's got a lot going on. She
Yeah.
seems like a pretty deep character.
They
All right,
do you like the part where they take beers? They steal beers just like Dazed and Confused. I like
that
part.
is just like Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, exactly like it.
Yeah.
All right, so now John Milner.
That
Really,
scene
really
is
like
fun.
John Milner.
That scene is funny though. The old guy disappearing with his money, and then the proprietor coming out and just immediately shooting his gun.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun broad comedy in this. Like it's generally like a pretty quiet, almost experimental comedy, but the big moments work, like that scene, or when Richard Dreyfuss like fucks up the cop car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to John Milner?
Fine.
All right. This might have been my favorite part of the movie.
Mine too.
Oh wow, we're saving the best for last, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked all this. So he's basically he's like the hot shot like drag race guy in town, and he sees some girls and he's like, "Hey ladies, come get in the car with me." And they're like, "What about my sister? My sister will get in the car." And he's like,
Judy's
"Ooh,
little sister
that's
is
nice."
here. And he's like, for his sister or mom, I don't give a shit. Send a lady here.
Yeah, but little does he know it's like a 11-year-old girl that he's gonna be spending his whole night with, and she's very fun. Carol, really liked Carol.
Mackenzie Phillips, man. You know about her?
No,
Mm.
what happened?
I mean, she was on One Day at a Time in the 70s. That was like her big show. She got that after American Graffiti. But she had like drug problems all through that show. I think they fired her and then she got clean and they brought her back on the show, and then she relapsed and they had to fire her again. And then like years later, she wrote this autobiography. She didn't get clean until like 2010. She was like a mess on drugs for decades.
Yeah.
And then she wrote this memoir that revealed that she woke up one night to her father fucking her.
Okay.
And like she accused him of raping her, and then he said, "No, we weren't. That I was we were making love. You don't remember? 'Cause she was on drugs and shit." And I guess she like just accepted it because it was better than if her dad raped her. And then she had like a long sexual relationship with her dad.
Oh my god.
I know.
All right.
So poor Mackenzie Phillips, what a life she had. But she's still around. She's been sober for like over 10 years now. Cindy Williams has passed away this past like
This
a couple
year.
months ago.
I saw
Yeah.
that, yeah. And the guy who played Bob, the guy in the next movie who also goes in the military with Terry, he died just last year.
Who's Bob?
The other guy, the
Oh,
Pharaoh
the guy from the Pharaohs? Oh, he's dead too?
Yeah, he also died last year. So
That's
we're getting
sad.
closer and closer to losing Harrison. It did make me think
I
about it.
know. Yeah, it's true, right? And he was like one of the older guys in the cast, too.
Absolutely, probably the oldest one.
Yeah. All right, so Milner, he picks up Mackenzie Phillips, and she's adorable. I love the stupid little t-shirt she's wearing, and the way she talks to him when she like puts shaving cream on his face. But then they start getting along when they fuck with that car.
Yeah.
And they have nice little conversation he takes her to the car graveyard. And but the best part of the whole thing is he never comes across creepy. There's never like one moment where he's considering like hooking up with her or like
No.
anything like that. I remember the first time I saw this movie, like being worried about that. Like I really didn't want anything. Like Milner, he seems like a dangerous fella at first, Like I didn't trust him. Because he's sort of like the Matthew McConaughey in town. Like he's been around
Well, I think Harrison
longer.
Ford is like the Matthew McConaughey in town.
But I mean, this is like his rival.
Because even later, when he's talking to, when he sees the little girl, he's like, in 10 years, you'll be riding with me. Well, that'll be great.
Oh, yeah, that is gross.
Yeah. That's more Harrison Ford, though.
No, that is Harrison Ford. But
yeah.
But Milner, like the way he says goodnight to her at the end of the movie, by like she's like, give me something to remember you by. And I'm like, oh God, what's this gonna be? And he just like gives her, what is it, his lighter or something?
Yeah, I think so. And there's like a part where
and then he gives her a little peck on the cheek. It's adorable.
Yeah. And the only part where you think it might get creepy is like he asks for like her address or something, but it's just to like take her home or whatever. It's like a bait and switch kind of.
He's trying to trick her. He like gets creepy with her so that she gets freaked out and is willing to give him her address.
Yeah, I really love the whole plot with them, and like the one part where she's like, if you don't do what I'm gonna say that you're raping me. That's like as far as we get with like the rape stuff. She's just, oh no, it's like when they get pulled over, right? And she's like, I'm gonna tell the cop that you're raping me, and he's like, please don't do that.
Yeah, please, fucking, I have to live here.
Yeah, I loved it. They handled it very delicately, I would say.
Yeah, it's
great
amazing.
job, George.
I mean, George, he co-wrote this movie. Like his writing got so bad. Like the dialogue by the time of like Attack of the Clones is like fucking awful.
But isn't that the one he got a co-writer for, Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, but he's got co-writers on this one. Like he just likes working with co-writers.
Right. But 1 and 3 he did by himself though.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, the dialogues in those are bad too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
but everything's so natural in this movie and subtle and it really feels like it's been thought about. Like everything's thought through, and I don't know. I guess I'm just really impressed with the George of 1973.
You really gain a lot of respect for the people who, like the writers and directors, who were able to maintain it throughout their entire life. That is really impressive. I like, you can see how it could eat up somebody like George, like all the money and like the chasing the Star Wars, and like you just get so wrapped up in all that stuff that he was. I think he really was really something. It makes me want to go back. I never saw THX 1138, but
that's worth watching.
Absolutely it is. I don't know, it really bums me out. But like the Scorsese's and Spielbergs and all those people who did it forever and are still going, like that's really cool.
I mean, Spielberg's gotten caught up like a little with.
But
like,
he just came out with The Fabelmans. That movie fucking.
No, I'm not saying he like ever lost it, but I feel like there were periods where Spielberg was like chasing the dragon a little bit, and like guys like Scorsese never did that. Like he was always on his art. You know,
he really appreciated it.
Say what you will about Woody Allen, but you could say the same thing about him or Malick or Werner Herzog or something like, or I don't know, Abel Ferrara. Like it's amazing that or John Sayles, these guys who just like did what they did for their whole careers. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And I think George is like the main example of somebody who didn't do that. And it's really upsetting, honestly, to me anyway. Yeah, but should we talk about the epilogue, because it's really stupid?
Did we get all the characters?
Did we not? Oh, you know what I didn't like? I didn't like the turn at the end where Lori, was that her name, Ron Howard's girlfriend, where she gets in the car with Harrison Ford and they do that race, and it's like Ron Howard has to get there because now his girlfriend's in the car. It made me like I really liked her, and then that turn made me like that character a little less. I don't know.
It does feel a little bit like they know it's a movie.
They don't know how to end it.
Yeah, they don't really know how to end it, and they feel like they need like a big action sequence or something. But like, I feel like Dreyfuss with Wolfman Jack was good enough. Like that was a big enough moment.
And I think they wanted to tie him in. Like the Milner versus Harrison Ford race is fine, but I think they needed to tie in like the Ron Howard story to all that. So they're like, we'll just put I don't know. It really didn't work for me. That was like the one part of the movie that I really wasn't for.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
And the epilogue, but that's fine.
Well, what's your beef with the epilogue?
I was just so bummed. We're like, this guy, he died 2 years later. This guy went missing 3 years later.
Only two of them were okay. So Milner dies in a drunk driving accident, which I liked. Like because he talks in the movie like I've almost gotten into accidents a bunch of times. Like it's amazing that I'm still alive. And then Toad goes to Vietnam. And that was a thing at the time. Like so many people went to Vietnam and died. Lucas just wanted to like have one of his characters be that. And but the other two made it out all right. Dreyfus, he's writing in Canada, right? Ron Howard became an insurance guy. The only thing that bothers me about that epilogue is that they don't mention any of the women.
Yeah, that's bad. I thought the ending with Dreyfus, like him flying off in the plane, I thought that was so good. And then it was just so tacked on, like 10 extra seconds. It's just like this character, this character, this character, this character, movie end. And you're like, what? Like I thought the plane ride was such a good ending. And one of my questions was like that was about how the women weren't in it at all. Was like it said Ron Howard became an insurance agent in Modesto, California. And my thought was, did he marry Lori? And then they answer that in the next movie. And then Richard Dreyfuss, they say, becomes a writer in Canada. And my question to you, Daniel, you ever see the movie Stand By Me?
Yeah, you think that Stand By Me is a sequel to American Graffiti?
Well, yeah, kind of. It's like because the movie ends. He closes his computer or whatever. It's Richard Dreyfuss typing the story of his days. I think he becomes a writer, goes and then writes about the prequel of this. He writes about like his middle school days. They give me the thought.
All right. Well, we'll have to cover that. Add it to the franchise.
Yeah, maybe. You didn't think about that? That's kind of cool. No,
I didn't. But the second you said like Richard Dreyfuss as a writer, I was like, oh yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wonder if anybody thought about that ever. I mean, I guess it's based on just a Stephen King. But when they were casting, do you think they thought about, hey, let's get Dreyfuss? He was a writer in American Graffiti. This would be good.
I mean, possibly subconsciously or not.
Let's ask Reiner. Is that who made that movie?
Yeah, Rob Reiner.
Yeah, let's see. But yeah, all right. So I give it 4 stars. I really like this movie.
Me too. I think it's really impressive. And I mean, Dazed and Confused is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it really gets a lot from this movie tonally and in a couple places, like actual things that happen and characters. And I think just the whole approach. George Lucas said that he like the main 3 dude characters are based on him at different points in his life. He says like Richard Dreyfuss is him in college, and Milner is him like when he was like a junior and a senior, and Toad is him when he was a freshman.
What about Ron Howard?
I guess Howard is just whole cloth.
Okay,
but fucking, you know, Linklater did the same thing where like if you go back and watch Everybody Wants Some and Dazed and Confused, like all the main characters in that movie are just him. Like Wiley Wiggins' character and Jason London's character in Dazed and Confused are both just Linklater at different ages. And I really find that approach interesting, and Lucas sort of pioneered it here, I guess. So you got to give him credit. And other than like a couple bits in the third act, like I think this is a fucking great movie. I'm also going to go 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be disappointed with 5. Maybe I will go 5 one day. That turn by Lori at the end, getting in the car, and the whole ending part didn't work for me. The last 10 minutes or whatever, but otherwise, really great movie. I was really impressed, and it lived up to what I thought it would be my whole life. Great movie.
Great. Who's your MVP?
My MVP, I'm gonna go. Well, it's actually tough. I'm gonna go Richard Dreyfuss, but if you want to go John Milner, I think you could also do that. Paul
See,
Lamont.
I'm between Candy Clark and Mackenzie Phillips.
No, well, you know me. I'm never gonna pick a woman for my MVP. That's crazy.
All right, so I'm gonna go Candy Clark. I think the Oscars got it right getting her that nomination.
That's a joke, by the way, people.
We all know. And who's your LVP?
My LVP. I wrote down one of the Pharaoh sidekicks because I couldn't think of anybody else. I didn't even know which one to pick. I just wrote Pharaoh sidekick ?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'm going with not Ron Howard. I think Ron Howard's fine in the movie, but I'm going with Steve.
That's a good
All
pick.
right. I fucking hate Steve. It annoys me at the end of the movie when he could hook up with that Buddha girl at the diner, and he fucking wusses out on that too.
He loves Lori.
He doesn't.
That's his turn. He starts out. He wants to. I sort of like that. How Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, not to just like talk about how movies are made, but like the arc of how Dreyfuss, he's unsure about if he wants to go, and then he decides to go, and then Ron Howard, he like wants to dump her to leave, and then he ends up staying with her. That's nice.
I like that in More American Graffiti. They're fighting. They're not a happy marriage.
What do you mean you read it? That's how it is.
No, I meant I like that. But what I read was that the original epilogue of More American Graffiti said that they divorced 2 years after that movie. And
yeah, that's what would happen. This is like people that are like our parents' age.
Absolutely.
Like all those people got married and then realized that they don't like each other.
So he should have just like had the courage of his convictions, fucked Buddha on his last night, gone away to college, let Cindy Williams find somebody else, someone better.
No, I think it makes sense. I liked it.
All right, fine.
And you wouldn't have the sequel without it.
I don't need the sequel.
I liked it. I really liked it.
I liked it too, but but it was far from necessary.
Oh, no sequels are necessary, really. Well, what is this show if we didn't have sequels? You're complaining that sequels are getting made now? What is this?
Come on, the original premise of the podcast, like I used to ask Henry, like artistically, does it make sense to make a sequel to this movie?
Yeah, no.
And the answer is almost always no.
But I sort of like artistically what they do. Honestly, it's very unique.
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay.
All right, let's.
Who was your LVP? Oh, Steve.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So after American Graffiti was such a hit, Lucas wanted to make a sequel to it, and Coppola was like, "Well, I don't like sequels," even though he like just made like one of the best sequels ever.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
No, fucking douche. And so it doesn't get made for a while, but then after Star Wars comes out, the studio is like, we want to be in the fucking George Lucas business. Make us a sequel. And he's like, well, I had an idea a few years ago. I'll make it. But by that point, he had originally wanted to write and direct the sequel, but he was in Star Wars mania at this point. He was like working on Empire Strikes Back already. So he had to hire somebody to do it for him. It took him a while to find somebody. He originally offered it to murderer John Landis.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. And then he offered it to Irvin Kershner, who ended up directing Empire. They both turned it down. Then he had seen I Want to Hold Your Hand, which was Robert Zemeckis' debut, which is kind of like nostalgic for the 60s. And so he offered it to Zemeckis, and he said no too. He's like, I want to work on other shit.
He sort of lost it, Zemeckis.
He absolutely he did. He got stuck in the weeds with all that animation.
Marwin, shit. Remember that one?
Yeah, that's
Welcome
right.
to Marwin.
Yeah, welcome to Marwin. All right. By the way, based on a great documentary, Marwin Call.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it ends up going to this fella, Bill L. Norton. Okay, BWL Norton, I think he's credited as in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he had directed Cisco Pike, which was kind of a hit, and he'd written Convoy, which was kind of a hit. So I guess Lucas liked his other shit, but he didn't go on to much. He mostly directed TV, and notably, Logan directed 6 episodes of Angel and 1 episode of Buffy.
Yeah, he on IMDb, his best known for credit is that one episode of Buffy, which is crazy,
Wow.
right? Is that like a really big episode? It's
It
time.
kind
It's
of is.
2 to
It
go.
kind of is actually. Yeah.
621 season
Yeah.
6.
Second to
episode
last episode of 6. But I actually listened to a commentary track he did for one of his Angel episodes, Logan.
21. Mhm.
And I remember it because he has maybe the most boring voice I've ever heard on a commentary track.
Well, did he have any cool facts?
Not really.
All right, that sucks then.
Yeah. Anyway, so he makes More American Graffiti. It comes out August 3rd, 1979 on a $3 million budget, which is way bigger than the last one. And ultimately it failed because it was released the same weekend as Apocalypse Now and Monty Python's Life of Brian, which was their follow-up to Holy Grail, which was a big hit. So like both those movies kicked the shit out of More American Graffiti.
Yeah,
But
it's not what you want.
ultimately actually made 15 million. So like it made a profit from a $3 million budget, but I mean, I guess the first one made 140 million. So that's a huge drop off.
But imagine if the budget was 800,000 like that first one.
Good point.
Did they have to pay all the actors to come back? Why was the budget so much bigger?
Probably. They probably had to pay Ron Howard and Cindy Williams. And
Is Ron directing? What's he doing at this point? Has he done that
Ron's probably on Happy Days.
yet? Okay, so he hasn't directed anything.
His first movie at Ron Howard, I think, was Splash in like 1982 or something.
Okay.
He's probably directing some Happy Days episodes.
There's more racing. Maybe that costs more money having to do those scenes.
Oh no, he had directed. I forgot he made that movie Grand Theft Auto,
I
and
don't know what
that
that is.
came out in 77. Oh, also Splash is not even in 82. 82 he did Night Shift.
When's Parenthood? Didn't you do that one?
Yeah, it's not till 1989.
Isn't Keanu Reeves in that movie?
Yes.
That's cool.
All right. I mean, I like Ron Howard as a director. I think I've seen like every movie he's ever directed except for the Da Vinci Code sequels. Because I was like, fuck
You're
that.
waiting.
What?
I said you're waiting.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Rush, check out Rush. That's a pretty good one.
That is a good one. Yeah. That might be. I mean, it's certainly his best movie of the modern era, but he's made some good ones. Frost Nixon, Cinderella Man.
He has a best picture. The Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
one.
Beautiful Mind. It's just okay. But Splash is fun. Apollo 13's good. He's made some good movies. Some really trash movies, but some good ones too.
All right.
All right. So but let's talk about Bill L. Norton's film. Came at number 43 at the box office, by the way. Okay. So it's
No AFI list? What's going on?
No nominations.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. It's sort of a weirdly structured movie, isn't it? It takes place
Yes.
on like 3 different New Year's Eves.
4.
4. Okay. So one is 1964, and that focuses on Milner. He like is trying to defeat a racing squad that is a much more well-funded racing squad than his own, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's
And-
trying to hook up with an Icelandic girl.
Right. Eva. And do you think that when people were watching this movie, they probably remembered he died in a car accident? Do you think they knew that it was a drunk driving thing, or do you think that they were watching this movie waiting for him to die in like the racing accident?
Well, I mean, it said drunk driving, and I don't know how fondly people remembered or how often it aired on TV or whatever, but I was confused at first just because I didn't really get the game of what was happening, where it was like different eras of New Year's Eve. And so then we were in like 1967, and then we were cutting back to Milner, and I was like, wait, So they're just ignoring that he died in 1964. But they didn't. They actually like followed up on every little thing in that epilogue.
Yeah, to the point where there were a few too many lines of dialogue that were like, well, last year when Milner died, and then like in the next one they'd be like, well, 2 years ago when Terry died in the military.
Yeah, she goes, I actually knew 2 guys that died on New Year's Eve.
Like they kept reminding me, which was a little much, but I really liked the way this movie's structured. I thought that was a very cool way to do it.
No, it was definitely ambitious. I appreciate the ambition of it because, you know, most sequels, they're just trying to do exactly what the first one did. Like, they could very easily have gotten away with, like, the 10-year high school reunion of the people from American Graffiti and they're cruising around town again. But there's a lot more going on than that. I mean, besides the Milner section, there's the New Year's Eve in 66 or no, 65. Is that where Toad goes to war?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's Toad in Vietnam, and that's all shot like a Vietnam documentary.
Mm-hmm. I think they do a good job of making them all very different the way they're shot, so that you're not confused.
They did no, absolutely. Yeah, once I got it. But
yeah,
they differentiate not only like the years, but it's like the film stock is different and the style of shooting. I mean, then they get to like the stuff with Candy Clark and all that's done like fucking the Woodstock movie where like everything is split screens.
Loved it.
That got on my nerves a little bit.
No. I was way into it. I think you don't like when you go not actors for MVP, but I think if in this movie, if you want to go the editing for the MVP, I think that's very fair.
All right.
I think the way they edit this movie is pretty cool. But all right, but should we talk about them like individually?
Yeah.
All right, so Milner is doing that race, and we see Carol again. Do you like seeing Carol? You said you wish she was in it more.
I did wish she was in it more because she was delightful in her one scene. And I would have liked to see her interact with Milner a little bit more, or even pop up in one of the later ones, the later years.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Well, she did actually briefly in Candy Clark's.
When?
Because they're referring to like this hippie friend named Rainbow, and that's Mackenzie Phillips. So evidently she became a hippie and changed her name to Rainbow.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So I thought she was going to be in that one more, and then she kind of wasn't because Candy Clark goes off on her own adventure with that band Electric Haze, with Scott Glenn. I was surprised to see Scott Glenn show up as a hippie.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah. I mean, that was the highlight of the Milner section for me.
Seeing Carol for 2 seconds.
Yeah, because so much of it is just him trying to fuck this Icelandic girl. And Milner, after being like sweet with Mackenzie Phillips and shit, I didn't like him like saying like, you came in my camper, what'd you think I was gonna do?
Yeah,
after he tries to hook up with her. That bothered me. But I did like some of the racing stuff. I liked his little rivalry with that balding fella.
I liked him like just working on the car. It seemed like he really wanted to win. I think this actor's really good. That's it. Your review the first time you watched American Graffiti was that you were bummed that the actors didn't go on to do more, and that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, like
especially this guy.
The first American Graffiti is notable because Harrison Ford went on to such huge things. But like I remember watching this when I was younger and being surprised that like Paul Lamont wasn't a bigger deal, Mackenzie Phillips wasn't a bigger deal, Cindy Williams wasn't a bigger deal. The dude who played Toad like could have been like a big comedy star in the 80s and really it never panned out. So yeah, it's weird to me that like Harrison Ford and Dreyfuss are so well known from this movie and like nobody else really is.
Ron.
Well, yeah, I know. Ron, but he was already a thing.
Yeah, okay.
Because he was a child actor. He played, he's in the Andy Griffith show.
Yeah.
Opie.
All right. Okay, but I guess that's John in the movie. I just liked him like his like rivalry with the people, and they didn't want to like let him in the thing, but he wanted to do it anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I like when he tells that dude to shove the contract up his asshole.
Yeah,
And
sure.
yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff with him in this movie. He
But
is
the
good.
love
Like,
thing is it's a little weird.
yeah, but it does hold that tension because you know he's gonna die soon,
Right.
and you're like, oh,
Great ending of the movie where he's just driving and you see that car
yeah,
coming.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That is great. It's a
Yeah.
good shot too with all his hills and stuff.
Yeah, perfect location.
Yeah.
All right, so Terry, basically what's going
Well,
on with
I want to say also that Mary Kay Place is in that part of the movie, and I've never seen. She's a good actor. I've never seen her so young, so skinny.
Okay.
She plays like
Was she the one who gave him the friend? And she was like,
yes.
I'll be back. What was going on there? What was her excuse? I didn't understand what happened. She was like, I'll be back. I'm gonna go hang out with a guy.
Yeah, I think she hooked up with a dude, and she just like left her friend to hang out with Milner.
All right. Honestly, pretty great friend. Like to go like
I
if
mean,
she's
they
gonna
weren't
go hook
even
up, she's gonna
friends, right? They
I
were.
don't
It
know.
was she was like a foreign exchange thing.
But she's not friends with Milner. I thought she was friends with
No,
Milner.
no, she's friends with Milner. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a great friend, leaving you like the new sexy foreign exchange student. That's a good move.
Good point, man. Yeah.
MVP, Mary Kay Place.
Mary Kay plays for her great wingman skills.
Yeah. All right, Terry time.
Yeah,
Terry the Toad
Terry the Tiger.
All right, so he is terrified of war and he wants to get medically discharged. Basically, is what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of comedy for a Vietnam War story. It's,
Especially one that you think is going to end in death.
yeah, but he gets away. Like, I guess
Yeah, it's a good twist.
he just lets his whole family think that he's dead, but like he like just so he can get out of being at war.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
This is
I don't
going to
know.
Europe.
I mean, I'm happy he's alive and everything, but it's sort of a wild story.
I bet it's happened a lot. Maybe not a lot, but definitely a few times.
No, of course people have gone AWOL and shit, but I mean, his whole thing with him like blowing up the latrine and then thinking that he's in it and then shit coming down on that cake. Like, it was very silly. Like, the whole thing played like fucking Pauly Shore and In the Army Now or Stripes or something. But I mean, it was charming. He's good.
But the whole thing did, like, even the opening when they're like blowing up the field because he accidentally shoots at
that is
them.
crazy. That is
But that's
so
played for
broad.
laughs too. It's
Yeah.
so weird. The tone of this movie is so interesting.
It's
By the way,
very all over the place.
did you notice when there's a scene where they're all playing football at one part? Did you notice they add in a Wilhelm scream at one moment during that?
I didn't notice, but my girlfriend always notices Wilhelm screams, and she pointed out too in this movie that.
Yep, there's that, and
and
there's one later on.
Yeah, when in the bar fight.
Yep, with Debbie when she's hanging out with that band. Exactly. Right. Great job, Dallas. I noticed the same thing all the time.
Yeah. Uh, Toad. What else? Oh, you know what? The other fun thing was there were some actors that showed up in that section.
Okay.
How about? Did you notice Delroy Lindo?
No, but I know him from The Five Bloods, right?
Well, yeah, he's in a lot of stuff, but
Well, that's most recently.
sure, I guess. Well, that and The Good Fight on
Okay.
the Paramount Plus network. But I love Delroy Lindo, and it was wild to see him pop up so young as like a military brass.
All right. We sort of mentioned that the Pharaoh guy is there, but he dies at one moment, and I thought that it was pretty scary the way he died. It's like you mentioned how you like on Buffy how spoiler alert when Trick died, like how he was like, oh, that's not good, that sucks. How like when vampires react to them getting stabbed, and he does that, like he gets shot and he reacts like, oh, that's not good or something like that, and it's really a weird moment, but I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but I found it very scary. I don't know.
I think it's meant to be funny.
I don't know. I thought it was terrifying because that probably happened. You're just like so in shock that you don't know how to react. Like it genuinely scared me. But
Yeah.
R.I.P. Joe. I think his name was Joe.
Yeah, and he was gonna make Toad an honorary member of the Pharaohs,
Yeah, very sad.
and he wasn't even gonna make him do a blood ritual.
All right. Did I guess we haven't mentioned, we haven't gotten to should we go to Steve and Lori?
Okay.
Because I guess they couldn't get Dreyfus back, so they make up that they have a second brother. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that. This
No, it's
guy's my
ridiculous.
LVP.
They wrote Dreyfus into the script, assuming that Dreyfus would come back for it, and then they kind of got fucked over. And instead of rewriting the script, they just made that character like a second brother.
Yeah, I thought it was very stupid.
It was
Well,
pretty stupid.
Yeah, didn't like any of that stuff. But I
I
don't know.
really like the actor either. I sort of liked
Yeah.
how the character was written. Like there were some funny one-liners and stuff, but like this dude with his like balding ass afro, like
Yeah, I
I
thought
couldn't
the
look
same
at
thing.
him.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I like that they made them like they have kids that are just always screaming and their marriage is falling apart. Like that seems like the only, if they were living a happy life, this movie would suck.
I agree.
They
yeah.
made the exact right choice.
I wish they kept the thing about them getting divorced in the epilogue because that really would play well. I did like the stuff with the kids, with them coming in and like her pretending that everything's okay when she's like crying and smashing shit.
They're like in the
And
fish tank.
That made me laugh a lot when he steps in the fish tank.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, there's not much there. It's just like them arguing. Well, I guess there is much there because she wants a job, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, and he won't let her get a job.
Which
Like
I
this
like.
fucking guy. I hate this guy.
Yeah, I guess that's you. Yeah, that's a great point. I like that they do correct the mistake of the first movie though, with the epilogue. Like in this one, they're like he does this, but then she goes on to have a job. That's sort of nice.
Yeah, well, he got criticized for that, so he knew he had to do it.
Yeah, that's a good choice, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know though. It's like Ron Howard like does this whole thing where it's like men work and women are housewives, and that should be enough for you. Like it's so gross.
She says at one point, she's like, I want to be more than just a mom, and he's like, you're a wife.
Yeah.
And she starts to lose her mind. She's really good. I really liked her.
No, she's the whole strength of this part. Like Ron Howard,
he's way better than him in this movie.
So much better.
The first movie, he's good. This movie, I didn't think as much. I don't think it's the mustache either.
No, I liked the mustache. I was just referencing that he had it. He just maybe he was like doing this out of obligation or something. Like Cindy Williams felt like she was really giving a performance. Ron Howard just kind of seemed like I'm here because I was in the first one.
He was like trying to give like relationship type feelings. I felt like, but it didn't seem like he himself was all connected. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird, but I did think she was way better than he was. Did we talk about Debbie a lot? I guess so.
No, I mean she goes on. There's the whole thing with her boyfriend, and she catches him cheating on her, and I mean she ends up with this band.
Yeah, she goes on the road with them. Maybe you can go with her boyfriend LVP.
Yeah, but I liked him in that opening scene where like she's trying to get him to marry her, and he's just like just not having it. And then that's where you get the Harrison Ford cameo too.
Oh, that was nice. They made him a cop in this one.
And I'd always heard Harrison Ford had a cameo in this movie because this was my first time watching this. But I didn't realize that he's playing himself. Like he's doing his character from the first one.
Yeah, he even says his name at one point.
Yeah, he's Officer
Bob
Falfa. That's right.
Yeah.
Falfa is a great last name.
Yeah, like alfalfa.
Exactly. Yeah, from the Little Rascals.
Yep. But yeah, I really like that, and I like that he turned into a cop. That seems like the reasonable.
That is absolutely the direction for that character. I mean, in the original script for the first movie, supposedly that character had a crew cut, and Harrison Ford begged George Lucas, like, please don't make me get a crew cut.
It's for a cameo. Why would he get a crew cut? That's
No,
insane.
in the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I feel like
in the
he's like wearing a hat the whole movie.
Well, that was the compromise. He was
Oh.
like, you won't get a crew cut. We'll put you in a cowboy hat. It'll have the same vibe.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good call. All right, but I didn't really the setup of her of Debbie's boyfriend was weird. Like she had a boyfriend who played the guitar, but he wasn't successful. So then she went with this band and was like, "Hey, give my boyfriend a shot." But then she got like too involved, and then her boyfriend was cheating. It was all very weird.
Yeah, his favorite band was playing a show, opening for Country Joe and the Fish.
Wow.
And so she decides that she's going to go to that show and connect with them, which is something I guess you can do when you're an attractive lady. And then just like get him, because like they had an opening, like, right? They lost one of their guitarists recently.
Right.
And so she was going to try and get that job for her buddy. But then they catch her cheating later in the movie. She fucking whacks him in the face. Pretty good.
Yeah, and also, by the way, if you guys don't remember, this is the girl of the nerdy guy who was like pretending he had the car. This is like that. It makes no sense she's even a character in this movie, really, to be honest, because Terry goes off into war and they never are in contact ever again. Like if she wasn't in the movie, I would have no beef. And the fact they go, but that's
they're together in the beginning of the Milner flashback. Or the Milner section of the movie, you see them, they're dating. So like they were at least together for like a year after the events of American Graffiti.
Okay. I guess that's fair. But sort of my thinking with her was like, if she wasn't in the movie, I would have no problem. But that's why I liked the actor, was the actor sort of proved enough to me why she deserved a spot in the movie. I thought her story was worthwhile at the end.
I think I was more invested in that story, like her and the Milner story. I felt myself very invested in what was going to happen, because the Toad thing was just a lot of like histrionics and hijinks in Vietnam, and then the Ron Howard shit was annoying the fuck out of me.
Yep.
So, those were the ones I was following. I do think like overall, there's not enough meat to any of the stories.
I agree.
Like the movie is as long as the original at an hour and 50 minutes. And it really feels padded out. Like this movie could be like 80 minutes long.
But the only one I disliked, I think, was Steve and Lori.
Same. I actually enjoyed the movie. I'm going to give it a 3. Which surprises me. I expected myself not to like it because this movie has kind of a bad rep. But it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Still, I can see where it gets its bad rep from.
I sort of can't, to be honest. I thought I thought like artistically it was really unique. I thought that there was a lot of like tension with Milner and the racing and stuff. I really wanted him to win. Terry, like I like the twist that they do with him. At a certain point, I started questioning. I was like, I feel like he's not going to die because they're playing it so much for laughs. It's like the tone is so weird that if he died, I wouldn't like this movie because then the way the tone is would not click at all. But the fact that he lives fixes the whole movie kind of for that stretch anyway. And Debbie, like I said, it doesn't make sense for her character to be in the movie to me, but the actor made her whole scenes worthwhile. So I agree. I'm gonna give it a 3 also. I really like that. And at a certain point I was thinking 4.
Okay. I think the conceit is great. I think the different filming styles completely work. Yep. I think the cast in general is really strong. I just think that so much of it felt extraneous. There are like great individual moments and the overall arcs kind of work, but a lot of times you're like, what the fuck was the point of that scene?
Yeah, I felt that a lot with new Richard Dreyfuss. What is going on? Even
Yeah.
now, I can't remember what that character did,
they're,
what the point
they're
was.
like at a protest, and that scene goes weird too, because like that whole section of the movie is played for laughs, but then you see like a cop like crack a guy over the head with his fucking nightstick, and he's bleeding everywhere, and it's like, what the fuck is the tone of this?
60s were a weird time. There was a lot of stuff going on. You think it's worse then or now? Definitely worse now, right?
Oh yeah, it only gets worse.
Is this the worst time in American history?
Absolutely, since the Civil War.
But we have a lot of technology. That's cool.
Yeah, that's true. You could sort of ignore what's going on.
We can podcast.
Because there's a lot to watch.
You can listen to a podcast. That's pretty cool.
It's true.
But I don't know. I don't really have that much to say. Lots of cool music. Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend. They sing My Baby Love.
That annoyed me, actually. You can't use that song in a movie after The Graduate.
The Graduate, you can't do it anymore?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it is what you think of every single time. You can't not think of it. Did you like Baby Love when they're in there?
That scene was good, yeah, in the bus there. But I think overall the soundtrack in the first movie is like fucking stone cold classic after stone cold classic, beginning to end. It's like it's a ridiculous soundtrack, and the second movie felt like more obvious choices.
Yeah, I didn't have any real beef with it, but all right. Anything else?
Who's your MVP?
My MVP, I'm gonna go. I wrote Debbie or Milner, and I'm gonna go Debbie.
The Debster. Well, she was my MVP in the first one, so I'm gonna change it up, and I'm gonna go Milner.
Yeah, even with the girl.
Yeah, the Icelandic stuff I don't like, but I think the performance is the best. I think it's really like he's the first build in the cast, and he comes across like a movie star in this movie. Like it is silly that he never got more to do in Hollywood.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna change my pick, because in the first one I wrote Dreyfuss or Paul Le Mat, and I went Dreyfuss because I just think he's so good in that movie. But here, you're right. He is sort of a movie star. Like when you look at him, you see, like, you wonder. I had questions. I thought you were gonna come in here and tell me like something terrible happened, like sort of the Carol story. But for him,
it just like his career just didn't get set on fire.
Yeah, I think he's the best performance. So I'm gonna go Paul Le Mat also.
Yeah, I mean, he's in some stuff. He's in Puppet Master. We'll cover him one day when we do the Puppet Master films.
Okay, all right. LVP, I went with the new Richard Dreyfuss.
I'm going Ron Howard again.
Again, you had Ron Howard in the first movie. Oh yeah. You went Steve, not Ron Howard.
Now I'm going both.
Wow, Ron. Yeah, he is definitely worse. He is the biggest drop off from any of the actors. Everyone else is still locked in. You'd think like, no, it's crazy because 6 years passed, right? Everyone just comes back. They're locked right back into where they were. It's like
and I mean, Cindy Williams was on Laverne and Shirley by this point, so she was a star, and but she falls back into that character very easily.
Yeah, not Ron.
Why didn't Ron offer to direct this? Like, he was trying to embark on a directing career at this point. You think he was mad? Like, Lucas didn't offer it to him? He heard Lucas went out to Zemeckis and Irvin Kershner and John Landis, and he was like, "What about me? I'm gonna be on set every day anyway."
Yeah, it's a good question. This would have seemed like a really good big break, especially like there's a lot going on. You could really show your chops with something like this. That's a great point. Yeah. I think he would have done well too.
I do too, but I'm wondering if that accounts for the lack of energy in his performance. It's like his heart was elsewhere.
Yeah, they shut him down.
Yeah,
it's possible.
All right, so that's American Graffiti. I had fun with these movies. They're great stuff.
Me too. By the way, we're doing this because of the 50th anniversaries in August
of the original, right? Yeah,
right. 50 years. That's pretty big.
Yeah. Wow. God damn. Let's talk about it next week on the show. What do we got going, Logan?
Hey, do you asking because you don't know?
I think I know.
All right. Well, next week, a week from today, is going to be the 4th of July, I believe. I believe that's correct. And what I think of when I think of the 4th of July, I guess probably fireworks.
Fireworks.
Yeah, probably fireworks. But next, I think of Swimming.
America.
Oh no, I don't think of America. I think of swimming. That's what I think of. And when I think of swimming, I think of sharks. All right. And but these sharks, they don't really stay in the water all too much. They sort of take to the skies. And you're like, why? How does that happen? And well,
The answer is tornadoes.
Tornadoes pick them up and they spin them around and they eat you from the sky. We're talking Sharknado and Sharknado 2. I don't know the subtitle, but that's
I
what
believe
we're
it's
gonna
called the second one.
All right, so Sharknado and Sharknado 2, the second one, is next week. And I think there's 6 total, so that's what we're going to be doing over the next 3 weeks, is Sharknado for July.
Get ready for Sharknado. I have seen the first 5. I never saw the last one, so I'm very excited to get to that one. And boy, oh boy, these were very much a moment in time, Sharknado. And we'll talk all about that.
Do these even count? These are all Sci-Fi Channel movies, aren't they?
They don't count, but I remember when we started the podcast, like Henry and I were both like, that'll be the exception.
Okay.
We'll do Sharknado someday.
All right.
So
I only saw the first one, so I am very excited.
Yeah. There's so much going on.
The Fourth Awakens. I know that's the 4th one.
Yeah, and a global swarming. That's the 5th one.
Wow. Is there 2 Shark Tornado?
That would be great.
Oh, no. You know what I'm thinking of? There's one. You ever hear of Lava Lantula?
Yeah, 2 lava, 2 lantula.
They did that with that. Yep. 2 lava, 2 lantula.
Yeah. But Sharknado, Ian Ziering, Tara Reid, the rest. We'll talk about them all. And that's the next few weeks on this show. Patreon.
One time I pitched a sci-fi movie to Sci-Fi, and I'll tell you about that next week. I think I already talked about it one time.
I think you did too, but I'm looking forward to hearing it again because I don't remember. Patreon.com/the-franchise for all your franchise needs. We've got so many extra shows on there. This week we're ranking part 3s.
Yeah,
threequels. Yeah. We're every part 3 ever made. We're looking forward to that. That's gonna be a big show. And then later in the week, we'll be back on Buffy's Angels, talking enemies and Earshot. And then, hey, I'm watching here. I'll tell you all about the new Wes Anderson movie and the new season of The Bear. And I watched that Blackberry movie. And so there's a lot going on.
I saw No Hard Feelings, the Jennifer Lawrence film. And more Jennifer Lawrence films. I've seen all the Jennifer Lawrence films.
That's true. That's what you've been doing.
Not quite, but almost.
Yeah, very nearly. A ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
All right. So that's coming up. Patreon.com/the-franchise. It's only $5. And and I'll review anything you ask me to, pretty much. Logan, a pleasure as always.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go get in our car and let's go off to the next podcast. You ready?
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock.